Hey everyone, we are back for another week of exciting rehearsals. This week, we are recapping the 2024 WGI Colorguard Championships. We will also find out what made Ricardo say
when that girl snatched that saber out the air in the name of Jesus, standing on that rock.
and why Trish said,
but if you go back and read some of those comments from alumni, we were, they just feel like this, this was not right. They're not being treated fairly, and what a disappointment for those kids, and
all this and more. So get out on the field, and we will see you back on the sidelines for this week's episode of On a Water Break.
8 off the mat and go. Welcome to On a Water Break, the podcast where we talk everything marching arts. Everyone, bring it in. It's time for a water break.
Welcome to another episode of Season 2 of On a Water Break, the podcast where we talk about everything you and your friends are talking about at rehearsal on a water break. I'm Jackie Brown. Percussion is over, winds is over, and of course, Colorguard is over also. WGI is now a wonderful memory for everyone who got to participate and watch and just be surrounded by this whole experience. Memories were made, tears were shed, celebrations were had. We have a super exciting episode recapping all of it because not only do we get to deep dive into WGI with some of our hosts who were there, but we have some very interesting guests joining us. So we don't have a minute in this rehearsal to spare. So let's see who's on the sideline. Ricardo.
Bonjour.
I always want to roll your R. I love it so much. Oh my gosh, I loved working with you this weekend.
Jackie, it was so great to get to see you because we haven't actually seen each other and hung out in years.
Years, literally.
So it was fun to just kind of get to spend some time with you and just watch Colorguard with you. I loved it.
Oh, and Trish.
Hi, everyone.
I was so excited to get to meet you in person finally.
I know. It was so cool.
And speaking of meeting in person, Nicole is here.
Oh my gosh. Hi. This sound is everything.
I love it. I love it.
Hi, Jackie.
Nicole, I'm also getting to meet you in person because I feel like we've known each other forever now at this point.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, we got along like a house on fire, and so did Vic and I, your son. He's great. You bake him good, Jackie.
Well, I'm working on another one, so we'll let you know how that goes.
Yeah. Listeners, I have to tell you, meeting Jackie's son for the first time, oh my God, the most adorable child in the world. My ovaries were hurting and I want a baby now because of that.
Not to mention when we went to WGI, we had a content house going on during WGI because we all lived together.
Right?
I'm sorry, this all sounds cracking me up. So it was good to be in there, and then after the day, it's okay, let's all meet in the living room and talk about what we're gonna do tomorrow. It was fun. I liked it. It was a lot of fun.
And returning to join us again is Jas, the designer of Les Eclipses. Hi.
Hi. So excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
I'm excited to meet you because I've heard your episode before, but I wasn't on it with you. So I am, and your guard. We'll get to that. But up first is someone that represents some of the most important people at WGI Championships. And he happens to also have a pretty decent following on social media, if I do say so myself. Please welcome WGI volunteer extraordinaire, Ryan Eberly. Hi.
Pew, pew, pew.
Hey there. Okay. Thanks so much for having me. I'm glad to be here. I'll share a bit of my life story, and then
hold on,
we'll get into the.
We have a way we do
this,
you have... Ryan.
See, I don't. Okay. I didn't know.
I know. We should have explained the rules beforehand. I know that's our fault there. So we have this thing. It's called the 32 Count Life Story. We're gonna give you. We really like our guests to have a good like heart rate going whenever they start on this show. So we're going to run a metronome for you.
You sound too calm right now. We got to get you up.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
So we're going to give you 8 off the Met, and then you just start right in, and you have 32 counts to give us your whole life story. All of it.
All right. From the beginning.
From the top. All right, let's roll it.
Okay. So I started marching band and color guard in the 90s. I tell my kids in the 1900s, but and then right out of high school, I started designing and instructing. And I happened to stay there my entire career. So here I am 30 years later and loving every minute of it. I did have some former students that marched DCI and DCA and WGI, but I've been local my whole career. And about a year and a half ago, I went viral on TikTok, and that's been the history ever since. So
good job. Good job.
All right, no stress. I got through
it. Did you say you have the drip?
The drip? I don't think I said that, but
okay.
I hope I don't.
No, he like what?
It's a good thing.
That's
the
awesome.
Drip, having the drip is the good thing.
That's what the kids say.
I was going to say, he was born in the 1900s with us guys. He doesn't say drip.
No, when my TikTok went viral, I had to get a translation because people were like, "Oh, he left no crumbs," and I was like, "It was on a middle school cafeteria floor. I guarantee there were crumbs."
Yeah,
I just didn't get that reference. So.
And that was to an NSYNC song, which it's crazy because like people sent me your TikTok like crazy. They're just like, you have to react to this. You have to react to this. And then, but then it also came up in my For You page because I love NSYNC. And so that just, it was just a whole big bundle of viralness. It was great.
Yeah. It was a bit overwhelming, but I think it was the juxtaposition of this old big, this old guy doing stuff like that. I don't think many people expected that from me. I look like a dad. I don't look like somebody who can do that. So anyway,
a fierce dad.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Okay. So let's dive into our WGI experiences. How did you kind of get involved with your role? What's your role, Ryan? And how did you get involved with that? And what was your experience this weekend? Just let's go into story time.
Yeah. So I've gone to Dayton many times as a spectator, and this was my first time volunteering. So it's actually a pretty sweet deal. If you volunteer, they put you up in a hotel and they feed you, and you get awesome seats. And the only thing we had to do was get there, right? We had to find transportation to Dayton, but otherwise they took care of us, and boy, did they take care of us. It was a great experience. I would 100% do it again. The volunteer piece, seeing the behind the scenes and really being able to, for all of these groups, this is, whether it's prelims or whether it's in finals, this is world championships. It's a big deal. And for me, instructing all these years, to be able to be part of that experience for these groups was pretty cool. And I know the first day when I was at the convention center on the first day with the Independent A during prelims, and then UD the rest of the week. And I would take these instructors and show them the logistics. Okay, here's where we're going to go down this path, and just kind of, I called it the anxiety walk, because it's like they just need to see it, and then they're good. So that was a lot of the value for me, was just helping them get comfortable with, okay, then you're going to go here, and here's the entrance, and over there's your exit, and getting them comfortable. And then I was at UD on Friday. I was on the top of the tunnel. Like, that's a cool place to be.
Yeah.
It was, kind of rainy and yucky, but getting people, trying to get them inside, as quickly as possible out of the rain. And then Saturday I was at the equipment warm-up tent, and there's these groups that I've watched for years, and I'm like, you got 5 minutes left in warm-up. Let's go, So it was just a very different experience, but kind of cool to be able to be a part of that experience with so many young people. It's great.
Nice.
That's awesome. I love that you're like getting involved in that way. So many people don't realize, they're like, oh, if I'm not a performer anymore, I can't be involved in WGI. Or if I'm not like instructing a top 12 guard, I can't be involved in it. It's like it takes so many people to do what we do. So it's just amazing.
And it is a well-oiled machine. watching the behind the scenes, all the volunteers and the structure they have to support the volunteers. But the organization alone, it's a well-oiled machine, and it has to be to move the number of groups they do in those couple of days. But yeah, a lot of great people that are making it happen.
So we obviously know what Jas was most excited about at WGI, but before we get to that, what else was there, Jas?
So, I mean, for us, it was really exciting because if you heard the podcast we did with the 2 other Quebec groups, we actually weren't supposed to go to WGI at the beginning of the year.
That's where I saw you the first time. We watched that actually one of the nights at WGI.
Yeah, so it was really exciting for us just to like actually be there. So that was really exciting. And then, I mean, we got to medal, so bonus.
Bonus.
It's amazing.
Yes.
We shouted you guys out. We shouted you guys out in our little Independent A recap that we did in the tent at WGI at the show day table. What you guys did with those 6 people was just incredible. Really, honestly. I mean, Ricardo even talked about there were times you didn't even know there were only 6 of them out there.
Yeah, Jas, I was saying that when you saw those 6 performers, they were all so dynamic, and how they moved around the floor. Like, it was just captivating the whole time. Because, I'm going to be 100% honest, and don't come for me in the comments, everybody. But, like, if you have a guard that small, it's hard to keep interest with just 6 people.
Right.
And I never lost interest. I was intrigued from the start to the finish of that show. It was just spectacular.
It started with how y'all set out the floor. And I was like, okay, I know this is going to be interesting because we don't have it's not 50 by 90. It's not 50 by 70. It's, abstract art. And you brought it in a 3D way. And I was like, I'm here for it.
And that was the goal all along, is that with what you said, Ricardo, being 6 is so hard because it gets boring really, really quickly. And you have to take the whole space. So with them being 6, and they're all really, really mature as well. Like, I have to give them credit. They're super pristine members. But we just wanted a show that represented kind of laughing at the fact that we were 6 is well, what's good with 6? Well, the number 3. So we'll just do a show around that. And so that's kind of how it evolved. It's just embracing the fact that we were 6 and not just being oh, we're a small group. What are we going to do with that? We're embracing it. And we're 6, but we're taking it to our advantage and taking the show to another level with that.
I have always said, and this will tie it back to Ryan's TikTok too. I have always said that a small guard can be very successful and very entertaining, very visual, as long as you have seen any NSYNC concert, because there are 5 of them. There are 5 of them, and they do staging, and they do visuals, and they are crazy, and you can't look away. And it's possible. And now we've seen it happen.
Oh dear.
True that.
I'm just shaking my head over here.
Okay, so let's bring it back. What are some of the standout moments besides the performances? We'll get to the performances. We'll talk about those in a little bit. What are some of the standout things that happened at WGI? What were some of your guys' experiences? Just all of my stories revolve around my son, so
I have to say, first of all, it was so great meeting the rest of you co-hosts, because coming into this, I only knew Nicole and Jackie. We have our so listener, this is inside information. You're going to get a bunch of inside scoop tonight about the podcast. So we have a group text message, and we are very active in said text message. And we talk all the time. Late at night, early in the morning, all day long, text messages are going. So we have already built this little family amongst the podcasters, but it was so nice to actually meet people in person. When I saw Trish for the first time, it was Trish and I have been marching Colorguard together for years, and we already
1,000%. Yeah,
it was great, and everybody else that was there. So that was probably my biggest highlight. And also just seeing everyone in the family aspect that WGI is what it is. You have friends that you marched with, or friends that you taught with, or friends that you taught, and just being able to be in this little space for 3 days and just be the biggest color guard nerd, and nobody cares because everybody's right there being a color guard nerd with you. It's the most wonderful time of the year.
1,000%. 1,000%.
Yeah.
And honestly, as soon as you say something like that, like I was at Truist with one of the guards that I was working with, and just a volunteer came by, and I was helping to set up a prop, and I was like, "It's the most wonderful time of the year." He was like, "Yeah, it is," and I just kept walking by. I'm like, that's the one place you can say not the one place, but for color guard people, you can go in and say some stuff, and like everyone just talks to each other. It's such like a really welcoming community. Very welcoming. Mm-hmm. But far as like standout stuff happens, I guess just for me alone, because like the last time I was up on the retreat floor was like, oh gosh, back when I was marching, maybe.
Oh gosh.
But yeah, I mean, and with kids that, with groups that I've had before, but like this was the first time that I ever like presented an award of any kind.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, really and cool. It was a lot of fun. It gets real hot down there on the floor, and it feels honestly like if you close your eyes, you're like, oh, am I in a club? Oh no, there's kids around.
Not the club.
Nicole starts.
Let me come back. I'm like, no one wants to see an aunt dance. That's me. No one wants to see that.
Oh, come on.
Did anybody else have any moments that were like amazing, besides shows, but like experiences that were great for you?
I think that for me, it was being up in that box. It was being up in that skybox and being like seeing everything from so high and just being with like so many, influential people in our activity, along with our podcast team. It was really, really great. And a big thank you to Show Days Designs for allowing us that opportunity to be up there.
Excellent, it was really, really sponsor.
100%.
Oh my gosh. Love them.
Yeah, so we had a similar experience on the other side of the box, right? So for the volunteers, we were over on the flight deck on the other side. And I didn't know coming in, but we got to, so for A-class finals, we got to sit up there and watch that. And then for world-class finals, we had primo seats, literally glass in front, and there it was. So I really enjoyed sitting in the box to watch when we weren't working. A highlight for me though, open class finals. I got a text right, towards the end of open class. The last couple groups were going on, and special assignment for you. Meet us down behind the curtain. Well, I got to actually participate in open class finals, where I walked out and I was the guy who waved them towards me, and then I sent them up to the front. So, hey, for first time volunteer, I felt pretty important that I was on the floor.
There you go.
Yeah.
And directing traffic. That was pretty cool.
I would have loved to have done like I call the oranges like what Lex calls it, communion, and I would have loved to have given out some oranges.
That is so funny. Communion, that's perfect.
Well, everybody, it is time to head back out onto the street. It is parade season, my favorite. We have some work to do, so let's go ahead and take it to commercial.
Hey, this is Christine Ream
and Chris Green.
Guard Closet was founded as a consignment business in 2000. Since then, it has grown to include winter guard, band, percussion, and other genres.
We can help you with custom flag and costuming designs.
Our consignment inventory has plenty of great looks for your color guard, drumline, and marching band.
Pay it forward. When you purchase consignment, you help other programs. Last year, we sold over 400 sets of consignments and returned over $125,000 in payments to our consigners for their sales.
Additionally, Guard Closet offers custom and pre-designed costumes, flags, floors, and formal wear, full or partial show writing, educational programming, and other services.
Max out your rehearsal time and set up a microsite for easy student ordering for shoes, gloves, and other equipment.
The Guard Closet team is here to help you get everything you want and need for your season. Check us out at guardcloset.com and follow us on social media.
All right, everyone, set your equipment down. Hey, make sure you roll those flags up. Don't just throw them on the concrete. It is time to hear more all about the fun times we had at WGI. But right off the bat, before we get too far into this discussion about our favorites, we need to dive into our bronze medal winner of the WGI A class. This designer who took 6 performers from Canada. They weren't even originally planning on going to WGI, and they showed up and got a medal. Jas, what was that like?
It was insane because it was crazy. Is the reason why we actually decided to go to WGI, and we registered probably 2 days before the limit, was because we had so many people tell us, this show is so good, you need to go. So we were like, you know what, let's just do more fundraising and let's go. And we all knew that the show was good because we had been told so many times, and that was the reason why we actually ended up going. But we didn't know how good it was until we got to finals retreat. So the kids were actually super, super nervous the first day, and they didn't have a really, really good show. So we were kind of like, what's going to happen? We were hoping to get top 10, top 5, depending on everyone else, obviously. But we ended up getting 3rd, even with the bad show on prelims. And that got the kids really, really hyped. And they just continued until Friday evening for those 3 shows. And it was just insane. And my favorite part of the WGI was the reel that you guys took of the staff reaction during the finals. I think I watched that video probably like 50 times on repeat, and I still watch it this whole week. I'm like, it's so wholesome, and I'm like reliving the moment of like the reaction to the super clean flag feature and just us being so proud because that performance was so good. But
you all made me like I remember looking over and being like, oh my goodness, like honestly, like the amount, like you can feel it in your hands. I bet like you all just look so proud. So proud.
Yeah, because the flag feature, we had worked on that flag feature for so long, and that was like all we did during those 2 hours of rehearsal before prelims and semis. So when it hit and it was clean, we were just so happy and so proud, and like just the ending of like this whole big performance and the kids performing in UD Arena in finals, it's a huge thing, and there's only 6 of them, and they just delivered all the way.
And they filled up the arena. 6 people filled up the arena.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, and then just obviously going into retreat, we were actually 4th in semis, and so we were like nervous about if we would get a medal or not in finals. And there's actually a video of the staff reaction and the members' reaction when they announced 4th place, and it wasn't us. And it was also another video that I keep watching over and over, just reliving those moments. But yeah, lots of tears were shed, tears of happiness, and just being proud of them.
Dude, live in that moment because have you decided to come back next year or?
Oh, I'm super excited for next year. I'm already getting started. I mean, we'll see what brings what the future brings with Liz Eclipse. I mean, there's only 6 of them, so hopefully we get more members. But
I think this will do it.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm ready. The staff is ready for sure.
Kids love to show up when I say kids, like kids performers love to show up when they have a good chance of taking home a medal.
Right. I mean, no promises for next year. We'll see. But
doesn't this mean that aren't you now in open class automatically?
Yeah, kind of.
But you're gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
Everyone gets all upset over those promotions. Listen, WGI just told you that you are doing what you need to do to move into the next level.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we're doing it. I guess it's a thing. So
you did what needed to be done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely was not expected because at the beginning of the year, our cutoff member limit was 6. And if there was 5 of them, it was not going to happen. So it was just a true underdog story, I would say, from the beginning.
Thank you so much, Jas. Congratulations to your members and the staff of Lexi Eclipses. Guys, if you want to see that staff reaction to the Lacey Eclipses finals run, go check it out on our social media at On a Water Break. It's also on my Instagram at Spintronics Guard, and it's been cross-posted multiple different places. So go check it out. Those reactions you guys had were absolutely priceless, and Cynthia is not here, but I love her so much, and she's in that video too. So let's dive into a few of our hosts' standout performances. Ryan, I want to know, because you got to see behind the scenes, you got to see in front of the scenes, you got to see so many different perspectives. Who do you feel like really stood out to you?
Yeah, well, so I'm a little partial because one of my first TikTok followers was Heather from Etude, and I mean they have a beautiful show, but I was a little partial there because as they were coming through the tent, I'm like, I know you, and she's like, I know you, and so I started taking pictures with anybody who recognized me, but yeah, so Etude was amazing, and the fact that they jumped from 4th up to 2nd at finals, that was awesome.
They were breathtaking in finals. They really were.
Oh, yeah, just flawless. And I believe they had at least 1 or 2 performers that were injured that didn't.
Oh, wow.
But I sure couldn't tell, right?
Oh, wow.
I think, Jas, if you were missing 1 or 2 performers, you probably know, but.
Definitely.
Yeah, but no, I thought their performance was amazing. And then I'll just say just one word, Avon, right? And then
yeah,
go for it.
Those kids, those high school students,
right?
They're machines. Yeah.
Avon created an entirely new class for WGI. They are now Universe class.
Amen. Yeah.
Yes, Universe
what
class.
What is it, Steven? Steven always says something like that about needing like galaxy level drum corps.
Yeah.
Drum lines or whatever.
Universe. There's world, universe, galaxy.
Right.
We talked about this in a very seriously nerd out way. But we talked about it.
Trish, who stood out to you?
I know you all know what I'm going to say. You all know the guard that everybody called that weekend, my guard. So everybody kept saying, your guard, your guard, your guard. Yeah, I might be friends with the director, but they are certainly not my guard in my dreams. But Arlington High School, I can't say enough.
Yes.
I mean, Bobby and from Show Day and I were up in that box sobbing through their whole finals performance. I mean,
we really were. I saw it.
It finally all happened, and everything that I said was going to happen for them since the beginning of the season really did happen, and it was a magical moment. Really, one that I'll never forget.
Oh, so good, so good.
I'm pretty sure it was during their performance that Victor and I were up in the box, and he was jumping down the steps, and I was a little bit afraid he was gonna like hook himself over that barrier a little bit.
Yeah. What a moment.
But people were waving at him from the crowd, so I was like, okay, whatever. Maybe they'll catch him if that happens. Nicole, who stood out to you? What was your favorite?
I will tell you, I mean, all the obvious ones, but there was a day that Jeremy's friend John and I went to the Nutter Center, and we watched A-Class semis. And I'm just going to give it up for A-Class because this was so good for them. And everyone knows what a bloodbath A-Class is. And every guard came and said, I'm not playing. But the show that really, really, and Jas, yes, you weren't playing. The show that really stood out to me, I know I have this right, Lockhart High School.
Lockport.
Oh, Lockport, excuse me.
From Illinois?
Yes.
With the windows and the vampires
and the newspapers. They did and Anthony and the
gosh.
Johnson song. And that lead singer has like this really like haunting voice, and they had like the period piece sets and and the uniforms and everything. And it took you know what I mean? It started off real subtle. And then like it was just like what I call a slow burn, because by the end you were like on your feet, and
Yep.
I did not expect that. Yeah, I didn't expect it. And then I was like, this is another one I want to see. I watched them twice, and even when we were at the tent when they walked through, I was like, oh my gosh, stop, I love your show. Like I was fangirling them.
My favorite part of that show was when they had the newspaper, the
Papers
giant
on the flag.
newspaper, and I was like, oh, they're going to spin newspaper. And then they tore those off and there were flags. But then inside the flags, there were more newspapers.
Mhm.
I told John, I sat behind John on Saturday night and I told him, I was like, that's the most creative thing you've ever done.
I absolutely loved it. And I wanted to know more about it. I'm that kind of person that I want to dig deeper into your show. Like, yes, what you show us is great, but I want to know why. So one of my friends actually looked it up, and there's a poem about a woman in the Victorian times who was in a yellow room, and she kind of went crazy, and like they boarded up the windows. There's more to the poem, but I remember I was like, ooh, I found this out. Oh my goodness. And so I read it, and it has I have a whole new appreciation for it. But I really loved it. That was definitely one of my favorites.
You're catapulting off of what you're saying there. Like, I love the way that color guards are using their social media for that, to kind of give the backstory of their shows. Because like sometimes you watch a show and you're like, that's so interesting, but I don't understand it. And I felt that way about Blessed Sacrament's show. I was like, this is amazing color guard. I love it, but I don't get the concept of the show. And then I go to their Instagram and I'm like, oh, okay, this is what they're doing with that concept, and this is what they're doing. And honestly, I loved it. I loved that so much that I felt like I could appreciate it more. So then when they came back for finals, it was like, okay, I get it now. I understand the concept, and it's good color cards. So
I mean, honestly, everyone says that this activity is changing and it's evolving. It is. And I think it's evolving with the time, and how the time right now is that almost every performer and every designer and tech and staff member, judge, they're all on social media. A lot of people will get their information that way.
Yep.
And that is a great way for us to honestly communicate as an activity. And like you said, like, I don't understand it first, but it actually gives you a way to not be alienated from those shows that you're like, I don't get it.
yeah.
And then, you see that and you're like, oh, I get it now. I like that accessibility. That's what it is.
What was
Yes,
that group that did the
accessibility.
thing with the lights? They used their social media to be able to tell people to turn their flashlights on their phone during the show.
That
Oh,
was the other show.
yeah.
That was like the Anne Frank show.
And
Was
Oh,
it
yeah.
Holly Hill?
Holly Springs? Holly Springs.
Holly Springs.
Yeah, there you go.
That was special.
We were
The
all up in the
amount-
box, and we were like, how did they all know? How did they all know to put the lights on? How did they all know?
Right.
Come to find out it was social media.
I misunderstood the assignment. I'm like, you're going to burn your battery out.
Right. But
I
it was
did not
cool,
know
though.
that.
What a cool moment for those kids, though, to see that.
Well,
That the director
and
had
just
reached
to
out to
know-
multiple groups. Yeah.
just to know there's so many people listening to them out there, like,
Right.
like it's so nice to know you're not just like screaming into a void when you're like messaging other directors, or if you're posting things on social media, like people are seeing it, they're looking at it, and they're
Mhm.
taking that information in and they're doing something with it. Ricardo,
100%.
Oh my!
who were you so excited about?
There were so many. Okay, so first of all, we always have to make reference to Avon from now until the end of time. We have to make reference.
Right.
Voila. It's done.
Yeah.
Voila, it's done.
Voila.
Don't ever stop.
And don't ever stop. In World Class, I'm so excited. I hope everyone is going to listen to the bonus episode that comes out, because we got to interview Bloody Mary from Vox Artium. That show
Gosh, yes.
was just creative and
Yeah.
fun.
we were talking about how like that kind of commitment that Bloody Mary did, like we really haven't seen that in the arena in a really long time. And like if I really had to put my finger on it, like back in the day when Patriots did Liquid Days, and there were two people, Mary Hoyt, she's not Mary Hoyt anymore. She's Mary Romanowski now. And she walked around UD Arena with that big old trout in her hands, you know, just going up to people. And it's just like, girl, you're going to stink in a minute. And then there was another performer as well, Tracy Baps, who she put well, it was supposed to be mud, but it was actually like cookies and water. I know, I just told the secret, but she walked around UD Arena with that thing on and like would go up to people and start talking. And I was just like, ooh, that level of commitment. And the way she was just like, y'all can fold the floor. I'm giving every section a little time with me. And that's a great way to be. A great way to be.
Absolutely. Jerry just signaled and said when everybody did the Peacock show, which I've only seen on video, but that entrance from them coming in with those peacocks, that was another one.
Yeah.
Back in the 1900s.
Last century.
But yeah, so I think besides everyone's calling out all the really good shows too, so I'm just gonna piggyback on them. But I am gonna say one of my favorite A-class color guard moments was the moment at the end of Mount Vernon's show when that girl snatched that saber out the air in the name of Jesus, standing on that rock. My spirit left this earth and went up to heaven and came back into my body because that girl snatched that saber. She said,
she
"Thou
sure
shalt
did
not move."
She said, "Sit down, sit down,
sit down somewhere." I lost it. So that was a big standout moment for me. But it's just there's so many groups to talk about that were good. But you know, those are my few.
How about Tampa Independent, the guy that did the aerial at the end, right?
Yes.
And I'm like,
Leon, that's my baby. I love him.
This is the second group on. What's coming next, right? I mean, that was great early in the Independents at finals, and it's like, what is going on here?
I thought about that because I was just like, if I'm tearing up right now, please don't let anyone take a picture of me by the time the last one comes on. Just speaking of Tampa Independent too, like I feel like I remember when Tampa Independent was A-class and now they are world. That is obviously it's growth, but it's also maturity because I remember when they were in A-class and this was, you know, a gradual climb for them. Yeah, gosh, beautiful. Yeah.
Okay, and we're not even going to talk about that because I taught the directors. They're my babies.
Oh, all right. Okay.
And I have personal
it's from the 1900s.
Now, this was in the 2000s, yes, but I am from the 1900s. So being able to see them, you know, back in the day when they were in the gym and they said, we're going to start, maybe one day we'll start an independent color guard. And
I love
watching that group grow and seeing them from week to week, because they're here. I mean, I live in St. Pete across the bridge from Tampa. So I'm with them all the time. It was just fantastic. And my kids marched there after they graduate from high school. The captain of that guard is a former student of mine. The opening soloist, Juan, is a student of mine. He is my assistant now. I have personal stake in them being amazing, so I can gush and go on them all day long.
That's right.
But that was just amazing color guard. That design and everything about it was just beautiful. And guess what? They are show day design clients too. So
that's right.
Absolutely.
And I feel like really quickly, I would be remiss if the Jersey girl didn't shout out the first ever New Jersey Independent World Championship champion Fusion Winter Guard, which for those of you who don't know, our circuit, the Mid-Atlantic Indoor Network, goes another week. So our championships are this weekend. So we all here in New Jersey get another opportunity to see not only Fusion, but AMP, who we did not get to see in finals. So we all get another opportunity. So It's going to be really cool. But shout out to Fusion. Go Jersey.
I do want to bring up the fact that, like, unprecedented about what happened to Amp.
Yes.
Because that was so... we just never heard it. We've never seen it before. At least in my time, I've never seen anything like that before. And, you know, for them to have probably done semis, like, not okay.
Mm-hmm.
But to be like, hey, you know, we're gonna bow out. And I really felt horrid for them. Because I was like, oh, this is going to be your, you know, last performance and you don't get to do it. But then someone told me, oh, yeah, they have, you know, their championships. And so I was just like, you know, that's going to be some special stuff for y'all. You know, you've got some prime seats for that performance. And man,
I'll make sure
not to mention their show is good.
I'll make sure know when it's going to be your last run.
Yeah.
And their semifinals run was spectacular.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
Oh. You know, when people say, you know, you need to pull it out and, you know, get out there and, you know, do the thing, leave your heart out there. It's just like, I'm sure that some of them, like, literally did that because, like, I'm, you know, without performing, they're already like, I'm sick and I'm tired. And it's like, okay, great. I'm sick and I'm tired and I'm performing.
Dig deep and figure it out. Yeah.
Exactly. They dug deep.
I need to give a shout out to Tarpon Springs. I feel like there was a lot, like, coming from somebody who's like social media, video blogging, and that sort of realm, seeing how they took that element and like incorporated it with like the Tarpon World News concept, that really spoke to me. And I was just like, this is a cool concept. I love the integration of the non-guard performers and the live music and such. So shout out to them for all of their creativity in that production.
And shout out to the prop guys, because they had props going from they were outside and on the floor at the same time, the whole way up the tunnel, around the corner. No other group could even get in because, I mean, they had quite the production. And to do all of that, and it's like, I'm going to see in 5 minutes. It's amazing the level of effort that all of these groups put into these, you know, huge sets. But all that behind the scenes, all the dads, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of work that goes into it over and above just the performers to get them on and off as quickly and as flawlessly as they do.
Ryan, I have a saying: if you need something done, call a band prop daddy.
That's right.
That's true.
Very true.
All right, we need to get back out on the street because our banner carriers haven't been carrying that banner straight, and we got to do some more drop spins.
Get 'em.
So let's do it.
Get 'em.
Hey everyone, it's Jeremy, and here are your announcements coming from the box. You want to drink up On a Water Break Lost in Translation with Cynthia Bernard. Uncover the glitz and glamour of Twirlers with On a Water Break in Rhinestones, hosted by Lexi Duda. Get the insider scoop from the stands with On a Water Break from the Stands with Cindy Berry, aka Leander Mama, and join the band family in On a Water Break family style with Stephanie Click, plus much more to come. Make sure to follow us on social media at On a Water Break for all the latest updates and bonus content. Got something to share or a burning question? Email us at onawaterbreakpodcast@gmail.com. So don't be the person that doesn't tell their friends about a water break. Make sure everyone stays hydrated. Okay, field staff, take it away.
Let's reset.
We got to do so many fun interviews at WGI. Bobby and I got together and created an entire bonus episode of many more of the interviews that we did at WGI, after WGI, just all related. The episode includes interviews with Jeff Sacktig, the captains from AMP, Rick Subel, and so many more people. So, oh my gosh. What were some of the
good times
memorable...
doing those interviews.
Yeah, those memorable moments of the interviews was awesome.
And I have to gush real quick because Trish and I got to interview the people from Dartmouth and Bloody Mary. So we're super excited about that.
Oh my God, it was so much fun. They were all so great.
And just precious people. All of them.
Guys, make sure you go listen to that bonus episode because, like I said, there's so much good stuff on there. I personally absolutely love working the booth. I loved giving away free flags. That was like amazing. And getting to talk to so many of our fans and listeners and like making new fans out of people. And just, it was fantastic to see people come through and you know, subscribe to us or whatever, or to get recognized. They're like, oh, I came over here because I heard they're free flags. And they're like, oh, wait, I recognize you. Can we take a picture? And it's so awesome to like get to have those connections. So
I had a lot of fun.
Amazing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, honestly, once we started going, like when we took it to like other venues, that's where I was just like, oh gosh, okay, I'm a little nervous.
Really?
Yeah, I really did, because like I did like What Are We Doing Spectator Edition. And I was like, someone's going to say no. And they didn't. And I was just like, great. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't get any no's.
No,
it's really
not
cool.
at all.
I think some of those What Are We Doings just from random people at WGI are the best and most honest and most real What Are We Doing?
Yeah.
Yes, it's so true. So let's go ahead and let's talk about What Are We Doings, because as much as WGI is an amazing time, so many incredible things come out of it, there are things that could also be a little different. So what are we doing?
What are we doing?
What are we doing?
Trish, I have to start with you.
Okay.
I love it.
Now, I know there's probably some sort of copyright or legal or something in some kind of rule book that prevented this from happening. So I don't want to step on any toes or anything like that. But what were we doing not showing AMP's semifinal performance on the Jumbotron when they were supposed to be performing in finals? Again, I'm sure there was a reason for it. I'm sure there was, there's a backstory. Somebody will tell us eventually why that
streaming laws or something.
But maybe. But those alumni were not happy on Instagram. Some AMP alums were commenting on Flow Marching's Instagram, because Flow Marching did put up a post of pictures just saying it's 9:00, featuring AMP or whatever. And they did put up some stills, but if you go back and read some of those comments from alumni, they just feel like this, this was not right. They're not being treated fairly, and what a disappointment for those kids. And I did Sunday night when I got home, I did watch the rebroadcast because I just couldn't get enough. And I wanted to see what it looked like from the Flow perspective when AMP was performing. And all you just saw was the arena and nothing. And they did make the announcement, obviously. But, I mean, that would have been really cool. I know we would have been cheering in our seats. I'm sure the poor sick kids back at the hotel who were watching Flow probably would have really, that would have really, perked them up a little bit. And, it's just unfortunate. But again, I'm sure there's a story. I'm sure there's a reason. And I'm sure it's a good one. But what were we doing not showing that?
Oh, Ricardo, what are we doing?
Listen, okay, now I'm going to scorn the listeners right now because I have already asked, what are we doing about this? But some of us obviously did not see that short daily watering. What are we doing about talking trash about color guards and putting it out in the world?
Oh.
Okay? I am sorry. Listen, you might not like something. Every show is not going to be for you. Okay? But you do not need to go out and sound off on your keyboard and talk about it. Those instructors worked hard, but furthermore, every one of those performers who were on the floor were working their butts off to entertain you. If you don't like it, don't say nothing. If you ain't got nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all. We do
I
not
agree.
need to be on the internet posting stuff, being dumb, saying stupid stuff. All those people that were involved in that, they were doing what they were asked to do, and they did it at a high level because guess what? You were watching them. So I just, what are we doing? Still trash talking. We know better. Do better. Be better.
Can I spill some tea that's totally related to this?
Oh, I love
when
tea.
I took my group to WGI 2 years ago, struggle of our lives. Like, you're talking about taking our little group and like throwing them in world class all of a sudden, a little A team throwing us in world class all of a sudden and running us to WGI, and like with our show not quite finished and all this stuff going on. And but we worked through it and we did it. We only had 2 members who couldn't come, and like, seriously, they worked so hard. Everybody who was there, even the ones who weren't there, had been working hard. They just, stuff came up. And seriously, they were so proud of themselves. Like, everybody, you know, the audience was freaking out. They were so excited to see us. We have so many people who follow us online, you know. And then like, we were so proud and we were so excited to get off the floor. And then we went and checked our social media. And I had people who were people who I looked up to as instructors and judges, who I guess they didn't know I followed them on social media, who were saying horrible things about our show and about our team.
No.
And it was like, why would you say those things? Like, well, I know who's not my idol anymore. So yeah, you never know who's watching. No matter what end of the spectrum you're on, it's
Preach.
Yeah.
Not to mention, we're all educators here, you know, and this will be the last thing I say, because like, you are, whatever you do, your kids are going to see it.
Amen.
Especially if you put it out on social media. Once you put it out on the internet, it's there forever.
It's there forever. People think that it just is going to disappear, or it's going to, no, it's always there. Somebody's going to see it, and that is going to be somebody's impersonation from you. So just,
it's called screenshot.
That.
Well, Nicole, I hope that's not the last thing you want to say, because it's your turn to tell me, what are we doing?
What are we doing? And this is kind of a, I don't know, a happy what are we doing? But like, there was just so many good, good is like, okay, good is, I guess you could say your basic level. There were so many fantastic shows.
Mm-hmm.
Not that we can do this, but what are we doing? Not, you know, lifting all the shows up in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
And I mean, I know it's like, it's WGI. There's over, I don't know, maybe Ryan, you can tell me how many guards came in to WGI this year.
Oh my, I don't know the total. I would assume it's probably north of 200. I think there were 120 just Scholastic A's.
Okay.
Wow.
So, I mean, alone, again, the just lifting those groups up, because like, there was a lot of new groups, especially in A class, Scholastic A and Independent A, like lifting those groups up, making sure that, honestly, because that's where the future of WGI is in A class. Lifting those groups up, giving them a little bit more of a push, any way, shape, or form. So yeah, what are we doing? Why are we not doing that? But at the same time, I'm glad to see the way that some groups are being pushed by other groups, you know, the camaraderie of it all. So
kind of to that point, WGI does a really great job of making everyone, like, even if prelims was it, right? Even if you showed up and you did prelims and you didn't go any further, I think WGI really made a concerted effort to make that as special as if you were on the arena at Dayton or, you know, UD. So, so at least I feel like the organization really values each and every one of those groups. But yeah, to your point,
you could definitely see that even at Truist, which is the furthest away from, you know, UD, and every kid that was out there was just like, yeah, you know, like jumping up and down. I love to see the nervous energy, but they're like, just go get it. Let's go. And then you just see volunteers like, oh my gosh, have a good time. And they're like high-fiving people they don't know. So good. So good.
It's such an accomplishment just to make it to the end of the season and to be able to go to WGI. It's amazing. Jas, what are we doing?
What are we doing with early morning rehearsals? This is just because I had to wake up at 4 a.m. on Thursday and Friday, and I was up for 23 hours straight on Friday because we had rehearsal from 6 to 8, and then we had semis, and then we had finals that night, and then we had retreat at like 1 a.m. So what are we doing with that? Can we get more nap time? Because we actually came back to the hotel after our semis before our finals, but we were looking at the scores and refreshing and like, what's happening, what's the score, and then by the time we were done, we couldn't nap because we had to go perform at finals. So that was a struggle.
Jas, so I was sitting next to a friend who lives in Arizona for open class finals, and it was like 10 o'clock in the morning. And he started talking about, he said, you realize this is a West Coast group, and on the West Coast, it's just now 7 a.m. And he said, and they had a rehearsal this morning and have been here for hours doing this. Like, you have to think about like the time shift that people have to do. And no.
I always say it. And I have an expression. I call it Dayton tired. There is no tired in the world like Dayton tired. There's just not. Even my friends that weren't here were texting me, are you Dayton tired? Are you Dayton tired? I'm like, I'm so Dayton tired. There's no expression. So there's no tired like Dayton tired. There just isn't.
Well, and I would want to compare it to like the Macy's parade because all the bands have to get up from like 2 a.m. or something. But a lot of those bands are in New York for a week already at that point. Yeah. There is no acclimation to the time zone when you're in Dayton. You're just there, you show up, you perform, and you're on Dayton time. Ryan, what are we doing?
Well, I kind of touched on it in the last segment, but what are we doing with all these props? My goodness. Just from a logistics, why do these designers keep doing that to these poor parents and kids? But no, I kind of say that tongue in cheek because it really does add to the show.
Amazing.
But I'm wondering, like, where is this going, right? And Jas can attest that you don't need to bring out everything to be super successful. And even, Fusion or Blessed Sack, some of those groups, they didn't have, a train of props. They had a handful. So, but yeah, I just think I'm just curious where it's going to go. And, drones, like what's next, right? We're going to have, so. I just gave someone some ideas, but yeah.
No, drones are presently banned. They're presently banned. I don't know if that'll ever change, but they're presently banned.
I take drones to rehearsals, and you get incredible footage from those rehearsals.
Our marching band parents do that. They take
but
drone
sometimes
videos.
You have kids like scared and ducking from them instead of
or marching the whole show like this, looking up.
Yep.
On the flip side,
Good job, everyone. Set your equipment down. Gush and go.
All right, it's time for the gush and goes. Trish, what do you want to gush and go on about?
Well, my gush and go was going to be kind of what Ricardo talked about earlier, so I'll reiterate. Dayton weekend was just an incredible weekend. It was just an incredible experience. And I said to my boyfriend earlier, I'm so excited. I even said it on the group chat. I'm so pumped about tonight's episode because I get to see you all again. And now I know you. And now we hung out. Now I know all you guys. And it was just, I couldn't wait to see my friends again. You know what I mean? So thank you for that. And
you all just saw that, right?
Yep.
That was cool.
But,
my God.
Oh, wow.
Oh, look at
I'm
that.
sorry.
That's
Trish, I didn't mean
magic.
No,
magic
you're good.
computer.
You're good. But I love you all.
Oh, we love you,
Trish.
I love you too. Ricardo, what do you want to gush and go about?
I just had so much fun. So I get the added benefit of my husband is actually from Dayton and my in-laws live in Dayton. So I get to go to Dayton and not only spend time with my Colorguard friends who are the most awesome people in the world, but I also get to spend time with my family. And my family all comes to World Championship finals.
Oh,
And
nice.
it's just it's a special like family thing that we started
I love
doing
that.
like 8 years ago. And it's my favorite time of the year. So I my heart is still warm from all of that, and being in all of y'all's presence, and meeting Jackie's adorable son who got his
Aw.
wings
I want my
and
string
wanted to
beans.
show them off. It was just great. And yeah, just Colorguard. I love Colorguard all over again and being inspired by everyone.
Nicole, what would you like to gush and go about?
I mean, ditto Trish. Yes. It's just so many people that you want to see. I mean, I'm happy that I saw the people that I saw, and then I didn't get to see a lot of people, but at the same time, it's just like, I don't know. It's special. It's so special because you think about how old you are and how old, WGI is. Oh no, it's okay. You can think about how old you are. But how long WGI has been going, and then like honestly, with like someone who is my age, like I have been in the era of no cell phones or internet, into that cell phone and internet, and then into like viral TikTok stars like Ryan, so, and how the world has evolved, so has the activity in so many ways and with so many people. So, and with Jasmine and the way that you designed and wrote for those 6 people. So I'm gushing and going about the evolution of the activity. It's great.
Jasmine, what do you want to gush and go about?
I'm just happy that Liz Eclipse got to experience what we experienced last week. It was just so great. And I'm happy that I got to be on this podcast with you all. Thank you for having me.
Aw.
Yay! Ryan, what would you like to gush and go about?
I would like to gush and go about all of the other volunteers. I feel like I had such a small part, and when I look at all of the volunteers that help with WGI, and they've been doing it for years, and it's definitely a family. So if anyone gets an opportunity and they say, you know what, I could help, I could move groups through. I know the process, or I get it. I strongly encourage you to look it up. It's a great group. It's it's very rewarding. So. And likewise, thank you so much for having me tonight. Or this has been a bit humbling. I feel like I'm not worthy to to be here, but
You better stop.
You are definitely worthy. I'm excited to have gotten to meet you since I was so
know.
disappointed we didn't get to meet at WGI.
yeah, we'll have to fix that next time.
For sure. We should do a TikTok together.
We should, yeah, absolutely. We might break the internet though.
That's fine. That's fine. The internet sucks anyway, so we'll just break it and start a new one. It's fine. I need to gush and go about all of you guys, like, and not just the On a Water Break cast and everybody, but like everybody who was so warm and welcoming, and like I got so much great advice from people. I was so nervous going into this trip because it's been a while since I've taken my little guy with me on a trip somewhere, and like now I'm pregnant and I just got over like being really sick, and so there's just so many things up in the air, and I think you guys were just so great. There was so much good advice, and you guys were so flexible with everything that we had to do. It's like, okay, well, we have to, like, I have to go to bed because the toddler's screaming, or like whatever's going on with us is always like, you guys are just like, okay, gotta do your thing, or anytime I needed help with stuff, there was always somebody there to help. And so I really appreciate it. I brought my former student and friend Sydney with me, and she helped a lot, and so I appreciate her help too. And yeah, you guys were just so warm and welcoming, and I appreciate you all playing order pickup with him because that's his favorite game.
Green beans.
Green beans. So what's
Green
special?
beans.
Green beans.
It's a family, Jackie. Like, you have more.
Gush and go, not gush and stay.
I feel
Let's
that
go.
way. Well, thank you all for a great rehearsal this week. Thank you to our hosts, Trish, Ricardo, Nicole, Jas, Ryan. Make sure you look up Les Eclipses at Leseclipses, spelled Leseclipses. You can find Jas there and all of her beautiful design and everything. And then Ryan, of course, you probably all already follow Ryan anyways, but just in case you don't, you can find him on TikTok at Pop's Got the Moves. I think it's all one word. Or on Instagram as Ryan1 Eberly, Eberly. One more thing. Don't forget, we have a YouTube channel now. It has so many of our interviews. We have full video editions. We have video clips. We have YouTube shorts, all kinds of cool stuff going on. Make sure you go to On a Water Break on YouTube and subscribe. And before you close out of your podcast listening app, make sure you subscribe and follow our podcast. Write us a review. Share this episode with a friend. Follow us on all of our social media at On a Water Break. And we'll see you at the next rehearsal on a water break.
Go practice.
The On a Water Break podcast was produced by Jeremy Williams and Christine Reams. The intro and outro music was produced by Josh Lyda. To learn more, visit lydamusic.com. And until next time, thanks for tuning in.